Welcome to Modern Living. I'm Kathy Ireland. A common concern for those recovering from addiction is the very real possibility of relapse. Elevate Addiction Services has a unique approach to mitigating the risks of relapse. President of Elevate, Dan Manson, and spokesperson Ashley Gurnasini are here to discuss their evidence-based treatment program that positions patients for success. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley, would you please give us a little insight into the addiction problem in the United States?
Sure. Kathy, I don't think it would be too surprising if I told you that drug addiction really is a nationwide epidemic at this point. You hear about it all the time, whether it be in schools, on the news, with celebrities. You hear stories of overdose, children being taken away from their homes, drug deals gone bad. It's a real problem. And one of the biggest issues we face today is drugs are just so easily accessible. You can get drugs from your doctor. You can get drugs on the street. Nowadays, you can even call places and get drugs delivered to your home. It really is sad how many individuals this can reach.
And Dan, can you please talk about what Elevate Addiction Services is doing to help fight this battle?
Sure. So we have multiple facilities and locations in California, and we offer a long-term holistic program which uses evidence-based therapies to treat the whole individual, not just a symptom of addiction, but their entire life, mind, body, spirit, what went wrong, what led them down this road, all the reasons behind it, not just you have a drug, so we're going to treat that specifically. So we want to teach them to live a balanced, rounded life, and that's what helps them succeed.
Let's discover more about Elevate Addiction Services' holistic approach in this Modern Living Field Report.
Addiction continues to be an ongoing issue in this country, bordering on an epidemic. This is a trend that needs to be addressed with comprehensive addiction treatment. Unfortunately, many recovery programs center on the idea of exchanging one drug for another. Elevate Addiction Services takes a holistic, evidence-based approach. They help participants rebuild body strength and clarity of brain function through a regimen of nutrition, exercise, education, and empowering activities.
What makes Elevate so different is that we don't just address the emotional difficulties with addiction, but we really address the physical aspect too with fitness and nutrition, as well as mindfulness, and teaching the clients that being present is an incredible asset when facing emotional difficulties.
They are involved with counseling. They learn life skills that they can use throughout the rest of their lives. They are heavily involved in health and fitness, and one major aspect is that they learn to live socially in an environment without the need for drugs or alcohol.
At the beginning, people are a little fragile. They can be real emotional. They're detoxing, and we just help them through all those processes. We get to see them grow every day as they move through each stage of the program.
On a day-to-day basis, you can see a client change from being a person that is in complete denial about their addiction and about their lives to a person that is responsible and is taking full accountability for where they put themselves. So it's a big change that you can see here at Elevate.
At many addiction centers, the actual root of addiction is not addressed. Elevate zeroes in on root causes, then develop a program specific to each individual. Healing is centered around a mind, body, and spirit approach.
It's well established that long-term treatment is more effective than 30-day treatment. It takes 4 to 6 months for the brain chemistry to really start to change back into some normal semblance of the neurotransmitters. What we see in the 30-day facilities is people leave the facility and go home to their legal problems, social problems, financial problems, and very often they relapse because they haven't had enough time for their brain to heal.
Here at Elevate, with the longer length of stay, people are often still in phase 1 at 30 days. But by the time those 30 days arrive, they are clear, they're thinking in ways that they haven't thought probably in years. They're feeling better than they haven't felt in a long time. So they're more susceptible to all the information and counseling that we can provide.
The staff at Elevate Addiction Services is different and unique because we are like a big family. We all care about one another and we're all very passionate about what we do. And together we work as a team to make sure each and every person gets everything that they need to get out of it.
Dan, will you please tell us more about the program at Elevate Addiction Services?
Sure. So we're not a typical 12-step treatment program. We actually have an alternative program. So it's holistic based. So what we do is we have exercise and nutrition as a fundamental component of the program because we want the people to feel good about themselves physically. And after 90 days, they typically feel really well exercising and eating good for a long time. So we also offer an educational component where they do workbooks and they understand for themselves what happened. They do one-on-one counseling. They also do group therapy where they work together as a team with other clients to tackle certain issues. We do nature walks, mindfulness exercises, art and music therapy, all these different things because we realize that not every individual learns the same. And so we have all these different things that we can use to help address the addiction. And inevitably, certain components of the program will hit with certain people, many times all of them. And so what ends up happening is somebody gets something out of the program that they didn't expect.
Ashley, can you please specify what sets Elevate Addiction Services apart from other treatment programs?
I think one of the biggest things that sets us apart is we don't like to attach the stigma of once an addict, always an addict to our clientele. We know at Elevate that you really can get the tools that you need to successfully overcome addiction for the rest of your life. And then the other thing that we do that I think is very different in most treatments today is we don't simply take people off drugs by feeding them medications. We try to take them off drugs in an atmosphere where they don't have to be dependent on anything at all.
And Dan, can you please tell us why your program doesn't use medication as part of the treatment?
Well, look, if someone is diabetic and they need insulin or they need blood pressure medication, that's perfectly fine. So what we're talking about is mind or mood altering substances. So for example, if someone comes into the program addicted to heroin or alcohol, okay, well, of course they're going to be depressed. They've been ruining their life. Of course they're going to be anxious, they're going to be nervous, scared, all those things. Well, how can you diagnose somebody in that state? Okay, this guy has anxiety, right? So what we do is we just take everybody off of everything safely with a doctor's supervision. So they wean off of all these things, and so they get to the point where they don't need to take any medication at all. And then we see where they're at. And in that case, most of them find that they don't need medication at all. In fact, they just need to manage their lives.
And Ashley, could you please discuss the role of exercise and nutrition in your program?
Certainly. Exercise and nutrition are vital to recovery. When people come to us, they're often broken down, very malnutrition. Their bodies are not doing well. They're tired. They don't feel well. So, of course, if they're in that state, they're not going to get much out of treatment. So before we can do anything, we get them on supplements, on balanced meal plans, so they can start to feel better physically. The other thing that's good about that is it keeps them feeling really well. So it aids their recovery after they leave treatment. When you add in the component of exercise, it helps them to produce natural endorphins. So they actually do get happy. These are things that are going to add to their life, enhance their life, things that they can do once they leave that will keep them feeling good. You know, these are oftentimes people want to feel good, so they take a substance. You know, they take drugs because they're trying to feel better. But if you can get yourself feeling better the right way through nutrition and proper exercise, then you don't need to reach for that substance. You don't need that drug to make you feel better.
And Dan, how do you address mindfulness and its impact on addiction?
Well, mindfulness is a very powerful exercise. It's been around for thousands of years. So everybody in life gets stressed out and overwhelmed. And mindfulness just brings somebody back to the moment. They get to focus on what's happening in the here and now. Well, an addict has a million things going on at once. Their mind is racing constantly. So mindfulness just gets them to slow everything down for a minute, relax, take deep breaths, concentrate on what's happening before they make that next decision. Because addicts typically make really bad, rash decisions. So when they practice mindfulness, which they do every day at Elevate, they get used to doing that. And so when they go out in life, they think before they act. And it's very powerful.
And Ashley, will you please share and explain the length of the program?
Yes, our program is on average about 90 days. That's because at Elevate, we feel that the standard 28-day or 30-day program really isn't enough to completely get the person where they need to be and set up for success. Oftentimes after 30 days, you're really just coming out of the fog. You haven't set enough time up for yourself to reinforce positive habits. Yeah, get a routine in place that's going to really provide for a successful future. So at Elevate, we spend more time making sure that the individual is really prepared with aftercare planning and what they need to go out and be successful.
If you really think about it, if someone's been abusing drugs for 10 years, 30 days is just such a small amount of time. 90 days gives a lot more time to tackle the issues they need to tackle.
And Dan, what can you offer someone who's already been through a treatment program before and relapsed?
Right. Well, I would say that there's always hope. There's a lot of different treatment programs out there. There's alternatives to what they might have done before. Some people feel like, I tried rehab, it didn't work. Well, there's a lot of different treatment methods. So, in fact, we often have more success with the guys who've been through 4, 5, 6 other programs before they come to us, because they come to our program and they say, well, I've never been to anything like this before. This is amazing. This is incredible. Why didn't I learn this at the other places, right? And we still have success with people that this is their first time at rehab. So what ends up happening is that it's a different approach. It's not the same thing that they've ever done before. So if they're still struggling, they should give us a shot.
Elevate's unique approach to addiction treatment stresses the need to restore patient confidence and self-respect while helping them locate their purpose to lead a meaningful life. Elevate Addiction Services understands that each client is unique and deserves an approach to care that considers their specific circumstances and individualized conditions.
My child's addiction really affected our family in a very, very hard way. It's not something that you're ever prepared for, really. Elevate was the best thing that ever happened to my daughter.
I really feel like Elevate was more set up for the individual and their needs. I feel like this program really focused on me as a person, mind and body, and really addressed some of the issues that I've been struggling with for a long time.
We are so happy with our choice of having Brennan come to Elevate. We could not have picked a better place for Brennan to come to. This is just a tremendous place that is wonderful and can help so many people.
Elevate improved my life, give me a second chance. I was able to focus on things I would never even have thought of, and just gave me a full second chance on everything. The positivity here is just amazing. There's never really a bad day.
He's definitely here and present, and just striving to do better things. And it's sometimes too good to be true. I thank God every day for letting us find Elevate, and we miss it, and it was a really good program.
Elevate Addiction Services understands the complexity of solving addiction problems. Their specialized holistic approach taps into the body's natural healing abilities so that more than just the addiction is addressed. At the same time, they focus on results, not a strict timetable, in order to ensure clients are confident, armed with self-respect, and ready to resume healthy, purposeful lives.
Ashley, can you please describe your typical participant and what can they expect from their stay?
Well, Kathy, I don't think we necessarily have a typical participant. Our facility treats adults, all ages, all backgrounds. We really do get a wide variety of clientele, and I think that it adds to the program, makes it very special and very unique, because you have a bunch of people from various backgrounds working together and supporting one another. And it really does end up feeling more like a family atmosphere than a clinical or hospital type atmosphere. And it's great because the clients, they help one another, they work really well with one another, and the counselors and the clients work together. So that way we kind of ensure that everybody really is getting an individualized treatment approach.
And Dan, could you please share some of the tools a person takes with them upon completion?
Well, obviously they have a nutrition and exercise routine in place, which we encourage them to go out and join a CrossFit gym or a yoga studio or something like that when they leave, so they go into another positive environment where people are trying to better themselves physically. They also use mindfulness and practice it regularly. They know how to stay away from certain people that they shouldn't. They learn how to deal with all those issues. They make amends to people they've wronged in their past addiction, right? And so they've addressed that in the program. They move forward with a plan. And they also have a thorough discharge plan where they're able to follow something that is a successful pattern for them.
Dan, is Elevate Addiction Services accredited?
Absolutely. We're accredited by the Joint Commission and CARF, which is the Commission on the Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. So usually a treatment program will have one or the other of those if they're lucky. Those are both kind of gold seals. We're the only program that I know of that actually has both accreditations.
What's most rewarding to you about this work?
You know, it's just seeing everybody that graduates. It's incredible to see the journey that these people have gone through, and they're sitting there and tears are flowing, and they're talking about now they're confident, now they have the life they always wanted. They realize why they were using drugs and what was lacking in their life, and they discovered for themselves their purpose for life, you know, and they want to go out and live it, and they're very excited. It's almost like watching a kid graduate or something like that. It's a very rewarding feeling.
Ashley, as we close, what would you tell someone who's thinking about seeking help from Elevate Addiction Services?
I think if somebody wants help, they should definitely give Elevate a shot. I mean, every addict is worth it. They owe it to themselves, they owe it to their families. There definitely are alternative forms of treatment. Even if you've been to another program, even if you've failed in treatment before, it doesn't mean you should give up. You know, you owe it to yourself to really give yourself a shot at something different. And I would just urge the individual to call today and to come in and see us, because I really do think we can help.
Dan and Ashley, it sounds like Elevate Addiction Services can help people not only to beat addiction, but to build a truly meaningful life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
For Modern Living, I'm Kathy Ireland. Thank you for watching.